All right, we want to address the controversy surrounding Path, which is a new social network. And joining me from Seattle, Washington is there he is. He's Oleg Moskalinsky, and from New York is Alan Furstenberg, regulars on Google Plus Week, my other show. But we want to talk about this thing. This is a big deal. I guess what happened, I'll explain it in layman's terms, is some hacker type guy discovered that Path was uploading all of your contact information from your iPhone app to their servers, and they were not notifying you of this, and you never had an opportunity to opt in. So there was some drama, and then a lot of folks found out about this from Vic Gendotra's post today, saying, "Boy, I hope this isn't true." And on the original post, the co-founder of Path weighed in and said that yeah, we do it, and that there's no specific rule against it, and that didn't go over well. And if you look at some of the colorful comments that you see on that post, it wasn't a PR bonanza. I would guess about 10% of the people were positive, and the rest were sort of either agnostic or outraged. Now, no one is saying, there's no evidence that there was any malicious intent. There's no intention, there's no evidence that there was, subterfuge or anything like that. It's just sort of like, what were they thinking? And this guy's a former Facebook engineer, right? So it brings up all these issues. Whoever of you, Alan or Oleg, whichever of you wants to weigh in on this, because you both are developers. In the modern era, I was in the 90s.
Well, I think this highlights a lot of interesting things, and it's kind of interesting that Vic made a statement and made it the way that he did. And for starters, the first thing that we realize is that this problem, as it exists today, only exists on the iPhone and iPad app. And the reason why is because the Android version of it has to tell you that it's going to be doing this sort of thing before you install it. So while on iOS, the iPhone and the iPhone and iPad, your address book is free to access from any application. In Android, it's a specific permission, and you need to give it permission before it tries to do this. So that's a major difference. I think what's kind of telling, though, is the CEO, when he talked about it, just kind of dismissed it very casually, saying, oh, this isn't a problem. Everyone is doing this. While at the same time, on their own website, they kind of tried to take a much higher road in talking about their app. In discussing privacy, they essentially said Path should be private by default forever. And they said, you should always be in control of your information and experience. And here's a case where it isn't. So I think there's going to be a lot of negative repercussions against Path for this.
Before I shoot it to Oleg, let me real quick read exactly what the guy said. This is Dave Morin, and he said the very first comment on the post 8 hours ago before we taped this show, he said, thanks for pointing this out. And then he said, we actually think this is an important conversation. We take it very seriously, blah, blah, blah. We upload the address book to our servers in order to help the user find and connect to their friends and family on Path quickly and efficiently, as well as to notify them when their friends and family join Path, nothing more. We believe this type of friend finding and matching is important to the industry, and that it is important that users clearly understand it, so we proactively rolled out the opt-in for this on our Android client a few weeks ago and are rolling out the opt-in for this in the next version of the iOS client. So prior to this, they did do an opt-in on Android, so they acknowledge the value of letting people choose whether to do this. And then someone else weighed in and said, "Why wasn't this an opt-in to begin with?" And he responded, "This is currently the industry best practice, and the App Store guidelines do not specifically discuss contact information, which we've since learned is not accurate. They specifically say that you have to have an opt-in and you have to notify people before you can do this sort of thing." The thing is that bothers me about this, and again, there's no evidence of any nefarious conduct here, but if any of your friends are on Path, your name, your email address, your phone number, potentially your home address, if they're uploading the whole file, if someone has that in their iPhone, is stored on a Path server without your knowledge or consent or without your friends. I mean, Oleg, do you have a problem with this?
Well, it's a there's several comments I would make. I mean, I don't know all the details of this thing, but number one, the dream of having privacy on the internet is nothing more than a dream that's totally unrealistic in today's world. Between the hacking and between what different companies do, like this example here, it just doesn't exist. So people are trying to cling to some degree to be as private as possible, and that's totally normal, totally understandable. But the reality of it is that they're not succeeding because companies do things like this.
Well, the biggest problem, though, Oleg, the biggest problem with this is that it's not even whether you have control of your own privacy. It's now you're letting your best friend, who has contact information about you, and they're accidentally letting your information out.
Right, and then, but you can go a step further and say, okay, do you get from your same friends an email with some sort of a funny video with the to field in the email filled with just literally dozens or hundreds of email addresses of other people whom they want to share this
that's
with?
true. That's true. But here's the difference. The difference, that's a good example when someone does a to field with 50 email addresses. And if you post a picture on Facebook of you, drunk or what have you, some sort of compromising photo, and you share it privately to your friend, and some setting messes up, that's an accident that happened. But to take a person's entire phone contact database and upload it onto your server without telling them and asking their permission, especially when you did it for the Android device, so you know that it's something you should do. And then to leave this snarky comment like, well, it's not specifically prohibited.
Well,
I mean, that just doesn't rubs me wrong. It's enough to make me not use the service.
I totally agree with you 100%. And also, as Alan pointed out, when you install an app on Android, which is right there as one reason to use an Android, it tells you what services you're going to be sharing. And I don't think it's because Android asked them or they decided to do an opt-in. It's the way all apps on Android work. And it's not anything they did special. It's just the way it's supposed to be on Android. But even though I completely agree with you, and I think I would not use the service because of this myself as well, I'm just saying that, A, we're not living in the world where there's privacy, number one, on the internet. That's one point I will make. Second point is the reason the guy is so kind of casual about it is because he knows he's in deep potential trouble with people looking at class action lawsuits, just like they're doing the same thing with people like Facebook, because every time the privacy thing gets skewed in a direction that it shouldn't be skewed.
Oh, not just from me. I mean, not just from the users, Oleg. You're right, because if you're my friend, okay, and you join Path, you signed a terms of service agreement or what have you.
Right.
I never did. I'm not on the service. I don't think. I don't think I'm on it, but I can't remember. I signed up for so many things. But if my data gets uploaded to their server from your phone and it's compromised, right? I never signed a TOS. They're screwed. They could have a huge class action that goes exponentially beyond, beyond
potentially killing their whole business. Absolutely, I totally agree. But the reason he's being so casual is he's trying to damage control. Not because it's not a big deal. He's just trying to make it look like it's not a big deal, whether he'll be successful or not. But I totally agree with you. Believe me, I'm not trying to defend the guy in any way, shape, or form. They should have never done this the way they did it. They should know better by today. And, especially because there was no option. I mean, you can kind of argue and say, well, the Google searcher world showing you the results from your circles first is kind of a similar deal where you didn't opt into it, but that's what you get. But it's a totally different situation compared to this particular situation, and they should have had an opt-out. Opt-out or private being the default, with you being able to opt in to upload all your data if you wish to have that kind of convenience and capability. I totally agree.
Any final thoughts, Alan?
I think looking at their privacy statement, where they say you should always be in control of your information and experience, that just damns them. That just says they're
Yeah.
saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a pet peeve of yours, Priz. As our regular viewers of Google Plus Week will know. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. This was interesting.
Yeah.